Here they come then, ready for their last race of the day, our penultimate race of this brilliant weekend at Croft. It's round 18 of the 2024 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Here's your grid for the reverse grid race. On pole position, number 3, Tom Chilton, alongside number 40, Aaron Taylor-Smith. Row 2, 27, Dan Camish, and 1, Ash Sutton. Row 3, number 80, Tom Ingram, number 32, Dan Rowbottom. Row 4, number 12, Rob Huff, and 66, Josh Cook. That's the top 8 reversed. Row 5, 20, Colin Turkington, and 16, Aidan Moffat. Row 6 is number 88, Mikey Doble, and 11, Andrew Watson. Row 7, 77, Sam Osborne, and 18, Darrell De Leon. And then on row 8, 29, the rookie driver Scott Sumpton and Jake Hill, who started the weekend as the championship leader, who's now just trying to hang on to second place in the championship standings. He's 16th in the Laser Tools BMW. Row 9, 33, Adam Morgan, and the only driver on the hard tyre for this race, number 22, Nick Halstead. And the final row of the grid, 222, Chris Smiley, and 14, Ronan Pearson. Tom Ingram, the championship leader, after 2 really good races so far today. And then it is going to be Jake Hill and Ash Sutton, 2nd and 3rd in the championship. The revs rise, the noise rises, the crescendo of engine notes, the red lights come on, the race gets underway. Off the line pretty well for Tom Chilton. He's going to get there first, but what about second place? Dan Camish thinking about a move down the inside. Tom Ingram definitely thinking about a move down the inside of him, and he's going to squeeze past Camish, and he goes into 3rd place. There's contact between Sutton and Camish. Camish is sent deep into the corner, but just about hangs onto the car in 3rd place. Perfect start to the race, though, for Tom Chilton. He leads coming out of the chicane. Aaron Taylor-Smith in 2nd. Tom Ingram in 3rd. And Tom, early on in race 1, early on in race 2, had some daredevil moves into Tower Bend. He's going to do it in race 3. He's not quite close enough, but he's there with a good start in 3rd. It's side by side between the two Napa Racing Ford Focuses of Dan Camish and Ash Sutton as they go through Tower Bend as well. But losing momentum coming out of the corner, which means that Ash Sutton gets sucked into the path of Rob Huff, who's had a pretty good start to this race in the Toyota as well, and might squeeze through and into 5th place. Meanwhile, Tom Ingram is right on the case of Aaron Taylor-Smith. The Vauxhall stays in 2nd place. Huff did get through as they come back into shot through Sunny Inn, so he's split the two Napa Racing Ford Focuses, and a good start for Rob Huff to go ahead of Ash Sutton and into 5th place. Ash, in trying to get past his teammate, slightly delayed himself coming out of Tower Bend, and he's now got to deal with Colin Turkington, who is rising back up the championship standings. Colin smokes his front left tyre and clips the back of Ash Sutton coming into the hairpin. Ash has got one car to the left and another to the right as Dan Rowbottom gets on the power, and they both go past him. Colin Turkington one side, Dan Rowbottom the other, and Colin Turkington now trying to fend off Dan Rowbottom on the way into the first corner at Clairvaux. But that was pretty aggressive stuff from Colin Turkington. He smoked the tyre. I think he tried to get out of it, but he just clipped the back of Ash Sutton, and that put Ash Sutton on the back foot. He lost his momentum coming out of the hairpin, so Colin got past him on one side, Dan Rowbottom got past him on the other, and he's going to lose another place to Josh Cook, who's got tremendous drive coming out of the chicane, but he runs into the back of Dan Rowbottom and almost sends the Midlander off into the field. Sutton's trying to come back in the mix around the outside. Cook is trying to get up the inside now. They're 3 together. I think Dan Rowbottom somehow has held onto the car. He should have been off and into that field. It was a great save by him after a fairly hefty thud from behind, and Ash Sutton trying to get in on the mix as well. You can tell everybody that it's the 3rd race of the day and they're all going for it. Proper reverse grid race. The sleeves have been rolled up well and truly in these battles. So Dan Camish in the thick of the action moves up to 2nd place. Ingram up to 3rd. Aaron Taylor-Smith drops 3 places as a result of that battling that was going on, and Ash Sutton has dropped back, and Dan Rowbottom's dropped back even further as well. So beautiful stuff for Tom Chilton, way clear at the head of the field. Camish is going to be about 2 seconds behind him in 2nd place. Ingram 3rd, Huff 4th, Turkington 5th, Sutton 6th, Aaron Taylor-Smith 7th. Get a replay of it. This was coming through. It was wide coming out of Tower Bend for Aaron Taylor-Smith, and then it was a nudge up the inside. They were all hitting each other. Poor Dan Rowbottom came off far worse than everybody in that one. He's dropped all the way down to 9th place. Got a proper thud from behind. after a good podium in the earlier race, but he's starting to come back up the order. He's trying to, as he gets on the brakes. I think the red mist has come down now, so he tries to go around the outside of the Toyota on the way into the right-hander, trying to get past Josh Cook. Trying to outbrake Josh Cook could be brave stuff. BMW versus Toyota Corolla ahead, and then great exit to the Tower Bend section through the S's, and a place gained for Colin Turkington. He's got his head down here. We saw this at Alton Park in race 2, and it from the back to 7th. And you often say what a smooth, clean, calm driver Colin Turkington is, but when he needs to, when he has to, he gets stuck in, and he's getting stuck in today in this race, having already won race 1. So Chilton leads. Camish is bringing Tom Ingram with him. They're catching up the leader a little bit. Turkington with that move on Rob Huff. Coming through the Jim Clark S's is up to 4th place. Huff in 5th, Sutton in 6th place. Aaron Taylor-Smith is next up in 7th. And then we've got limping towards us Aidan Moffat with a problem. So Aidan Moffat struggling, and I think headed for the pits. Rotten weekend for Aidan Moffat. And also coming into the pits is the Toyota Corolla of Andrew Watson. So Andrew's a pretty rough day as well, or a mediocre day at least. So he comes into the pits with an issue, and Aidan Moffat joins him. So two of the Speedworks run Toyotas are, at the moment at least, out of the race. One of them has had a bit of a rough start to the race, Josh Cook. The other one's doing pretty well. Was 4th, he's now 5th. Rob Huff after the move from Colin Turkington on the previous lap coming out of Tower Bend. So it is Tom Chilton, 1.1 seconds clear, but Dan Camish has set the fastest lap of the race last time around. He was half a second quicker than the Hyundai in front of him. He's still got 1.1 seconds to try and make up. Tom Ingram 3rd, Colin Turkington 4th, Rob Huff 5th, Ash Sutton in 6th, Taylor Smith 7th, Cook in 8th, Rowbottom 9th, Darryl DeLeon 10th, but he's got a track limits penalty, or a penalty at least, up against his name, so he might drop out of the order. Jake Hill into the points, 11th place. He's made up 5 positions. He should get ahead of Darryl DeLeon on this corrected time as well, once that's added on. So effectively, Jake Hill is into the top 10 in the Laser Tools BMW, which is just number 24, making its way through the hairpin, right behind him for company. He has got Dan Rowbottom, who's dropped behind him now. So Dan Rowbottom, maybe with a bit of damage to that back of that car, losing another place down to 11th position in the number 32 Ford Focus. Hill 10th on the road, effectively I think 9th, because we've got this time penalty to be added on to Darryl DeLeon. Right. 2nd and 3rd is the gap to watch. It's come right down to 0.3 of a second at the start of the lap. It's down to almost nothing when they get to Tower Bend through the right-hander. So Tom Ingram charging after Dan Camish for 2nd place here. Further back as well, we've got Ash Sutton putting the pressure on Rob Huff in the battle for 5th position. Fastest lap of the race for Dan Camish, but he's 1.5 seconds adrift of the race leader. And I see that the Laser Tools BMW of Jake Hill heading towards Sunny is about to try and dive past Darryl DeLeon. Whether he'll do it or not, I'm not sure. He's ahead of him anyway on corrected times, but he wants to get past the Cupra Leon and go after everybody else. So Jake Hill on a charge. Driver, of course, battling for the championship, having started the weekend as the points leader. He's going to lose more points to Tom Ingram. Here we go. He's setting it up for a move. Coming into the complex. Great move from Jake Hill. Just flings it down the inside of the right-hander. The BMW gets ahead. There's contact further back between Osborne and Smiley. Smiley is sent onto the grass into the complex, but recovers it and holds on to his position. On the hybrid is Ash Sutton. So he's going on the charge now, looks up the inside, backs off out of the move, stays behind Rob Huff. 5th and 6th they are. Race leader is just over a second clear now, so the gap's come down a bit. Tom Chilton and Dan Camish, that gap's come down a little bit. Tom Ingram in 3rd place, kind of going with him. Colin Turkington in 4th place. Last lap, 122.5, was quicker than everybody in front of him. So he is flying, and flying as well is Ash Sutton, who throws it at the inside of Rob Huff on the way into Tower Bend. And for a moment goes 5th, but Rob, he's not one for giving in. He keeps his foot buried firmly on the outside. They're going to go disappearing behind the bushes, absolutely together through the Jim Clark S. He's still together on the way through Croft. Neither wants to give way. Sutton's got the inside, but he's a little bit back now. And finally, after 4 corners, he dives up the inside, but then gets a tag. And he's completely sideways. He's on the grass. Rob Huff hit his left rear corner. And somehow, rallycross style, like the World Drifting Championship, Ash Sutton hangs on to it. He was at a 90-degree angle through sunny in, sunny out. He shouldn't have been there. He should have been off the road. He's managed to hang on to it with some beautiful, brilliant, instinctive car control. And Ash Sutton gets ahead of Rob Huff. But that was a proper tank slapper when he got a big old nudge from Rob Huff on the way into sunny. How he held on to that, I will never know. That might just explain why he's a four-time British touring car champion. So Chilton has extended his lead on that lap, 1.4 seconds clear of Dan Camish. Dan is getting sucked back into the battle for second with Tom Ingram, and they're both being caught by the BMW of Colin Turkington, 15 times a race winner around this circuit. Tom Ingram closes under braking onto the tail of the Ford Focus on the way into Tower Bend, not quite close enough to go on the attack, so Camish remains in second place. Rob Huffy's a bit fired up, I think, so he's onto the tail of Ash Sutton, smokes his tyres and the number 12 Corolla, the former World Touring Car Champion, on the attack. And also on the attack is Jake Hill, who's about to spring another overtake coming out of Tower Bend and picks up another place. So that now moves him ahead of Aaron Taylor-Smith up to 8th place now, from 16th on the grid for Jake Hill in the MB Motorsport Laser Tools BMW. So he's on a proper charge. The BMW's working well around here, including Colin Turkington, who has joined the party. It's now 3 for second place, this battle. Colin Turkington is thinking about a move up the inside into the hairpin, backs off out of it in the end and sits behind Tom Ingram. Then the next queue of cars, led by Ash Sutton in 5th, Rob Huff in 6th, Aaron Taylor-Smith in 7th, has been joined in 8th place by the Laser Tools BMW of Jake Hill. And then you've got, Josh Cook, then Jake Hill, then Aaron Taylor-Smith, and then Dan Rowbottom and Adam Morgan, 10th and 11th. Doble in 12th. Darryl DeLeon 13th, but with the time penalty. Ronan Pearson 14th, and Chris Smiley 15th, looking to get some championship points as well, and at least get something out of what's been a tough weekend for them. 8 laps to go, including this one. So halfway around this lap will be at exactly half race distance, as Dan Rowbottom gets a tremendous run coming out of the chicane and just drives around the outside of the Vauxhall Astra of Aaron Taylor-Smith and just easily deals with him on the way to Tower Bend. So that's a good move. That puts him up to 9th place. He's going back on the attack, having been on the back foot after that huge whack he got on the way into the right-hander at Tower Bend. So 32, Dan Rowbottom in the 3rd of the Napa Racing UK Ford Focuses in this race. Perhaps one to watch in the next lap or two. His next target, Jake Hill. Jake having overtaken him a couple of laps ago. Right, 2nd, 3rd, 4th arrive almost as one. Colin Turkington, he's definitely the quicker of the leaders. He goes right, then he goes left. He's got his foot in the door on the way through the hairpin. He's side by side with Tom Ingram. They touch on the way out of the corner. Ingram goes on the grass briefly. Ingram is behind as they go over the line, but he's got the inside line, and he knows that the corner at Clervaux should belong to him. And the 2022 champion fends off Colin Turkington. Almost there for Colin, but not quite. So Tom Ingram stays in 3rd place. A very pointsy, very strong weekend, as he would describe it. He's not quite going to get the win today, but he is going to move into the championship lead at the end of Croft and further extend his advantage in this race if he can keep Colin Turkington behind him. Colin Turkington could do himself a favour here by getting through, and maybe Jake Hill as well, in the satellite car, which is in that next group of cars, battling away behind Ash Sutton and Rob Huff. Right, here we go. Tom Ingram versus Colin Turkington around the outside at Barcroft. The inside line, though, again belongs to the 2022 champion. There's contact, and into the barriers goes Colin Turkington at Sunny. There was contact between them. The outside line for Colin Turkington, and he just lost the balance of the car, and at high speed with that contact, that little nudge as they traded paintwork, he just couldn't slow the car down, and a pretty heavy whack into the barriers for the four-time champion. He'll get going again, but he'll be right at the back of the field and with a fairly battered-looking BMW. So Ingram on his own now in 3rd place, and smoking the tyres into the hairpin is Rob Huff, trying to get past Ash Sutton, and then suddenly up to 6th place now is Jake Hill in the number 24 BMW. That's on the big screen what it looked like, that wild ride to be on board with Colin Turkington, who took out the Quick Fit banner as he hit the barriers pretty hard on the way into Sunny. That was two drivers going for it. Colin Turkington over the start-finish line. He's going to continue, but he's got a really battered front left corner to that car, and he's now out of the points, down in 17th place. Great start to the day for Colin Turkington. Bad end as the Laser Tools BMW of Jake Hill goes for it. A move up the inside of Rob Huff, which should see him through. He's got his nose in front. He goes on the attack. He squeezes past before they get to the Jim Clark S's. You're on board, if you're watching the big screen, with Rob Huff, and you're now looking at the back and the rear wing of that BMW. Great drive this from Jake Hill. He'll be annoyed with himself for the way the weekend's gone, really. He's quit yesterday. He had the track limits issue. He didn't agree with it. And then he made a bit of a duff start to the race earlier, and then he got a tag and sent into a spin later on, so dropped out of the points. So he's come out all guns blazing now, and a replay of the Tom Ingram, Colin Turkington moment, one of the defining moments of the championship season that might turn out to be, particularly for Tom Ingram. He was not going to give way to what was clearly the quicker BMW at that stage of the race. So the top three go through. Chilton, Camish and Ingram. 1.4 seconds the difference between the top two. And then we've got Sutton in fourth, Hill now in fifth. After that move on Huff, who's down to sixth. Cookie seventh, Rowbottom eighth, Taylor Smith ninth, and Morgan is rounding out the top 10. And there's some big old battles going on at the tail end of that top 10 as well. Scott Sumpton on the fringe of the points in 16th place. The last of the point scorers at the moment is Sam Osborne in the number 77 Ford Focus. Got 4.5 laps or so to go, and Jake Hill definitely want to keep an eye on as he closes up next to Ash Sutton, who of course is the driver that's just behind him in the championship standings. I reckon there's 10 points between them coming into this race. At the moment, Ash Sutton is going to outscore Jake Hill, but Jake Hill is going to have something to say about that in the very near future, I reckon, because he's absolutely flying after Sutton. This hasn't been Sutton's best, strongest track in terms of the performance of the car. He's been thereabouts this weekend, but he's never looked the quickest. He was, even with more hybrid available than normal in qualifying yesterday, and he got into the quick six once again, but sixth place was all he could manage, so they're not quite been there. And here we go, looking at the inside. Jake Hill, no, door is closed. He was tempted into the move, but it never quite opened up fully, that move for Jake Hill, so he remains just behind Ash Sutton. Aaron Taylor-Smith, Mikey Doble are fighting for the Independence Championship, go absolutely together over the start-finish line of the two Vauxhalls. They are on the way in 10th and 11th into Clervaux. But the story now reverts to the head of the field, because Dan Camish is going back after Tom Chilton. The last lap, he did a 1:23.2. That was 8 tenths quicker than the race leader. It's more than half the gap. It's down to 6 tenths of a second now. They're making their way through Barcroft. He has left behind him Tom Ingram. So Tom is looking like he's going to have to settle for third place, but he'll be very happy to settle for third place with two of his big rivals behind him, and one of them with, of course, Colin Turkington at the moment looking like he's going to score no points. Dan Camish, though, don't forget, he's still very much a championship contender, looking to get his first win of the season. Ash Sutton's only had one win this year as well, but Dan's been super consistent so far this year. Tom Chilton looking for his first win since Donington 2023. Top three into the hairpin, fourth and fifth, nose to tail coming in next. Ash Sutton will not want to give this position up to Jake Hill. He'll want to outscore him, not be outscored by him for the championship. So Ash Sutton third in the championship, Jake Hill second in the championship. Head now over the start finish line. The gap between the top two creeps up a little bit by 0.1 of a second. So Tom Chilton responds, and responds well. His brother Max will be cheering him on, although he'll be also getting ready for his next race if they got that Lotus Cortina fix. Max Chilton in the last race of the day, the pre-66 touring cars still to come as the top three break deep on the way into Tower Bend. 3 laps to go, including this one. Jake Hill is winding up, ready to try and dive around the outside of Ash Sutton. That's a brave driver that tries to get around the outside of Ash Sutton under braking, and Jake Hill realises it's not going to happen, but tries to cut back on the exit to the corner. That won't happen either. Ash Sutton covers it off on the way through the Jim Clark S's as they go absolutely flat out through there, flat out through Barcroft, and eventually hit the brakes when they get to about 100 yards before the right-hander at Sunny Inn. Hugely quick part of the circuit here, lightning quick at Croft. Right about the top three, Chilton, locking up the tyres a bit, clipping the dust a little bit on the inside, running over the curbs a bit more on the way out of the right-hand part of the complex. He's got 2 for company now because Tom Ingram has been going after them on the last lap and a half or so. So Tom maybe won't have to settle for 3rd place. Oh, a look up the inside into the hairpin on Ash Sutton from Jake Hill. Thought he was going to go for it. There might have been contact. I think he just about avoided it. If there'd been any contact, that would have been another big old tank slapper for Ash Sutton to try and deal with. Meanwhile, behind Adam Morgan, who's running in 9th place, tremendous battle for 10th between Aaron Taylor-Smith and Mikey Doble. Darryl DeLeon right behind them, but with a time penalty to be added on that will drop him down out of 12th place and will potentially move Scott Summerton up into the top 15. He's 16th at the moment. 2 laps to go, penultimate lap of the race. The leaders come out of Tower Bend, Chilton, Camish and Ingram. Big gap back then to 4th. Ash Sutton about 2 lengths clear this time at Tower Bend, so less pressure than he had previously from Jake Hill. Then you've got Rob Huff kind of on his own now, a little bit in 6th place with Josh Cook in 7th. 2 different teams, but the same car, and also both run by the Speedworks team. And then we got this battle for 10th place with Aaron Taylor-Smith and Mikey Doble, the 2 Vauxhall Astras, absolutely side by side, and they're swapping paintwork as they go out of view as well, down towards Sunny in, Sunny out. Teammates there might be, but they're both fighting for the Independence Championship title, so that was getting a bit sketchy, and Mikey Doble's come off worst. Yeah, I would have been massively surprised if they both reappeared as they were, because they were rubbing wheels, trading paintwork, and that's still not over, that fight. Aaron Taylor-Smith is about to be passed on the way into the complex by Darryl DeLeon, although Darryl's got this time penalty to be added on. He's got Ronan Pearson and Chris Smiley to deal with as well. It's a proper melee in the midfield, so that'll be an interesting discussion between them. It was actually, I think, Darryl DeLeon at the replay at Sunny that clipped Mikey Doble. So Doble was running side by side with Aaron Taylor-Smith. DeLeon was right behind them, and then DeLeon actually was the one that clipped him, and Taylor-Smith has ended up with some damage as well after all of that, and that was probably from the rubbing of bodywork with his teammate. But he'll try and bring it home, but it's disappointment for the driver that started on the front row of the grid. We're on the last lap of the race. The leaders are heading down towards Sunny for the last time. The leader is Tom Chilton. He makes his way through the right-hander. He's pulled away on this lap by another few tenths of a second, so he's 1.4 seconds clear. He should be looking to just bring it home now for his 16th career victory in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Here he comes into the complex. Tom Chilton goes left, goes right, just a hairpin to deal with. Dan Camish in 2nd, Tom Ingram in 3rd, 4th and 5th, nose to tail, Ash Sutton and Jake Hill coming in towards the hairpin for the final time. And Jake Hill looks to go at the inside and almost clips the back of Sutton as the flag comes out, and Tom Chilton wins here at Croft. Camish 2nd, Ingram 3rd, Sutton will hold on to 4th. From Hill in 5th, Huff in 6th, Cook in 7th, and Rowbottom in 8th. And Mikey Doble trying to recover with Aaron Taylor-Smith. They go side by side again coming into the complex. Doble right behind Aaron Taylor-Smith. They both drop down the order with their contact, so they're going to potentially be out of the points. Colin Turkington splits them as they come over the line. The smoke bellowing out the back right corner of Aaron Taylor-Smith, who was carrying that damage. He dropped down back into the clutches of the driver that he was battling with the lap before, his teammate Mikey Doble. So Colin Turkington does wrestle a couple of points out of that in the end. 14th place for him, almost 13th over the line. He was in between the 2 Vauxhalls as they took the checkered flag. So 14th place for him, but a really disappointing way to end the day after he was, I mean, he looked quick enough to win the race in that one, but he couldn't find a way past Tom Ingram. And a replay of a big moment there. Ingram and Turkington rubbing shoulders. They'll each have their own opinion about that, but the end result was that Colin Turkington, who was on the weaker line, the outside line, ended up being sent into the barriers and lost control. And so it was the driver down out of the points, having to work hard just to get a couple of points out of that race in the end. But he has at least had the one race win today, but still it's been a frustrating year, or a frustrating couple of weekends for Colin Turkington. But Tom Chilton, the driver from Reigate, the 39-year-old, one of the most experienced drivers in the championship. He'll move up to 4th in the all-time list of most race starts in the British Touring Car Championship before the end of the season. And he has, on his 489th race start, picked up his 16th career victory, his 62nd podium in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Dan Camish comes home in 2nd place. Another podium for him, not quite the race win, but he's had a good, solid weekend, and he continues to be Mr. Consistent in this championship. Picks up a few wins in the second part of the season, or the final third of the season. He'll be in the mix as well. So Dan Camish, that will be his 49th podium finish in the championship. That's his 165th race. Twice third in the championship. Remember, in 2019 he only missed out on the title by 2 points. Colin Turkington won. He was on equal points with Andrew Jordan, who was the runner-up, but Andrew on catback got the position. So provisionally, Tom Ingram ends the weekend on 253 points, 21 points clear of Jake Hill, having started the weekend 4 points behind him. Jake Hill in 2nd place in the championship, just a few points ahead of Ash Sutton in 3rd. Tom Chilton, number 3, your race winner. Number 27, Dan Camish 2nd. Number 80, Tom Ingram 3rd. Number 1, Ash Sutton in 4th. Number 24, Jake Hill 5th. Number 12, Rob Huff in 6th. 66, Josh Cook comes home 7th. 32, Dan Rowbottom comes home in 8th. 33, Adam Morgan 9th. Number 14, Ronan Pearson 10th. And then you have to go back to 11th place to get your Independence race winner, and that is Chris Smiley. Something to smile about after a difficult Sunday. Chris Smiley is the Independence winner in 11th place for Restart Racing, with Osborne, Taylor Smith, Turkington and Doble the other points finishers.